these levels here. So kind of once we've gone through them, spent a bit of time, that's this block, and then we pushed again, leaving low volume, a big low volume area, and then we finally balanced out the lows. So this is kind of the technicals behind the trade, but really for me it's, you had the idea at the open, and then you go from, you know, trading it small, just trying to get a feeler in, is something I've been doing at the minute, to then trying to put a little bit more size on and then hold it and let it kind of do the move. So what you'll see is this is a footprint from the cash open, and it's very hard to see. I've actually incremented this to 5 ticks per bar, like per price, just so you can see. So each 2 prices is obviously 10 ticks. And you can see we had a straight open drive with the red, a little bit of blue, but it was just a constant sell all the way down, and you'll see it on the order flow until we got to that level. You see a load of buying come in, so the delta is just going against you. I think you might be able to see it on this one. Yeah, here, the delta just starts going massively big, but the price isn't actually getting anywhere. You think all these people here are buying. Second it goes again, and it's just another flush. Everyone's getting out that's bought in here now. More people are selling for like the continuation play. And this is where you just get these hugely overextended moves in the oil. So really, this is kind of the technicals I was going to show, because there isn't much more to it. There's no bigger time frames. It's just then spotting it in the moment and being aggressive and trying to then take the trade as far as possible. So what I plan to do is I'm going to run this here. Just check on the screen, you can see that. Here, so this is the oil now. This is CL. I'll put it here. Oil. Just for, this is Euro Stocks 50, so let's call it 50. This is your S&P, because it actually comes a little bit important. God, that's not good. And this is your NASDAQ. That'll come a little bit more important later on as like extra confidence and correlations coming in. But what I'm going to do is kind of try and get to where we are now. So we're at 105.86. Unfortunately, it stopped my recording on Loom. You only have so many hours. So I had to restart it. So you missed my original entry, but it was at 60s or 70s. So it was in here near the trend line. And that's where I've just kind of got a 1 on and I'm holding it. So you can see we broke the trend line already. This is again in 5 ticks. You see we broke the trend line, and when we're coming in, we're at 86 is. So we are in this area here. And what you'll see is every time we're getting to the lows, it's an aggressive flush down through the lows, and that's the kind of thing you want to see. If you're seeing this, you can try and be aggressive, and you'll see what I do. I like use stock markets on the lows to try and hit me in when it goes. You might get like, you know, slipped a few ticks. If it doesn't go and it comes back, I'm out straight away. But if it goes, then I'm trying to hold a bit of that, maybe get out of something and let the other run, and just use like the volatility and like the aggressive market to keep you in the trade, and just keep putting a bit of size on and taking bits out of the trade and then scaling out and back in. So we'll leave it to play from here. I'm going to put this on 2 times the speed because it does go on for a while. So straight away you can see, look, I'm in 1, come down into the 60s, down into here, and I'm going to try again now and get something in on the lows. You see obviously on the book as well, it's very thin, and when it goes, look, it's kind of, this is the first one, I don't know if I held this one, I did hold this one. It goes, it sits there, and you can see straight away I'm hovering to get out of it, blips back. But now I've just averaged in, so I'm in the 60s as well, now with 2. And you're just looking, as long as this holds like it is, it's sitting at the lows, flush again, sitting at the lows, flush again. As long as that keeps happening, you're happy to try and stay in the trade, scale something out, try it again. It's just trying to be dynamic now with the size, instead of getting stuck at first. I used to struggle when I just had a 1 lot and I put a 1 lot on, is when you get out. Now I've got the ability to try and like be a bit more dynamic, manage the size in different ways. You know, it's not on this video, but you know, on Friday I managed to get probably my largest size on oil for the first time, and it's just building that slowly by managing it. And when the opportunity is right, like at this point, it's just be aggressive and try and hit it. So you can see I was obviously averaging in the 60s here. We've come back a bit. I'm holding this one because I'm just looking at these low volume areas. If we can keep holding in these low volume areas, this is this point here, you know, where you've got a bit of buying come in, not really getting anywhere. in particular, I'm going to try and hold this, and then from there, when I add in, I'll be scaling out quicker, or I'll jump in and out of a few. So you can see it sits in that area, and you can see straight away all I'm doing is I'm hovering to get out if we get a blip, anything comes out. But apart from that, I'm going to try and hold this now for a little bit. So this is the first one, and the first one actually I thought, you know, was the trickier one to kind of get on, because it didn't really give you that flush go and hold down at the lows. It held down there, it pulled back, but then once it starts to get going later, you can see that real liquidation kind of feel. So there you are, the average is now 30s, so the average is in here, just at the low of the first 5 minutes. And for me, another big thing I'll be watching, obviously, is I use a lot of the footprints, especially from cash. It's 5 minute open drive on the open, strong footprint, and then obviously here it's starting to look quite strong as well. So I lean on these quite a lot of, like, I don't want to be fading these moves when we're getting a nice open drive and you've got a footprint pattern. That could show kind of a, you know, one-way market for the afternoon. So you can see now, look, you're about 100 ticks on side from where you've from your average price now, and you're looking really to try and get some more in if we're looking aggressive later on. And you'll see there's a point where I get in and it doesn't go and I'm out straight away, and then I'll hold it later. So you can see there we break the lows again, and we're sticking at the lows. You get a 200 come on the offer. I think it does get filled eventually. You can see all this low volume now down here. Like, these are the areas now you're looking for it to hold. You're just trying to stay in the trade. It can whip back quite hard, so that's why you'll always see it near the bottom of my screen and me hovering here, because I'm kind of, you don't want to get caught out on one of these whips, you know, 60 ticks in a few seconds back. So at this point as well, just so we can keep going over here, we're in here, look, where you start to get this buying come in. And it's kind of a key area now is these kind of 20s, 15s. You can hold these 15s to 20s area. See where there's lower volume there and through. And we build this volume here with people buying, but not actually getting anywhere. So as long as that holds and we stay in that area, you know, you're going to try and hold on to this trade. And then if you can find another place to add, that's where I'll try and add again. And you know, some people it might not be the right thing to do. You're adding now when you're over 100 and 130, 100 ticks on side. But for me, if I can add, I treat it as a separate trade. So if I add through a low and it doesn't go and it comes back, I'm out straight away and I'll take a 10, 15, 20 tick loss. But if I can add and it goes and flushes again, now you've got some more sides and it's a separate trade. And you're just trading the momentum down now on this move. Because you know oil can have these big blowouts and the flushes, and you know it's down 3 points in 20 minutes. So yeah, this is the time where you start to see this delta, and you see it on here actually, but this is a bit bigger so everyone can see it. Yeah, you start to get some delta come in and people buying, but they're not actually getting anywhere, and that's a key. Like, if you went, you won't want to see this blip back up through here, you know, all these buys are now on side, but the fact they're not getting anywhere and there's a lot of buying with this 1,000 done into 05s, pretty much where that iceberg was, because that's 04s, 05s. It shows that there's still someone sitting on the offer, bringing the offer down. We're not pulling back. So you've got to try and sit with this move. And this is where I put it on 2 times the speed, because it goes on for a while. And you know, you might be letting this come back 40 ticks, but as you see on this day, the chance it goes and it keeps going, sometimes it's worth staying in. And you know, it depends where you are on the day, where you are on your account, but not to snatch at the P&L and then watch it do another 2 points, but actually try and, you know, hold on to the move. As long as you're not wrong, don't look at your P&L, just keep going, keep trading with the move. So you can see as well, something I could do is I'll highlight little areas I want to focus on. When it's this thin, so like 04s was where that big order was, 105s round number, the low volume bit in here may have been a level. And I'll do that all the way down. You know, as it comes back, you just see I'm hovering straight away in case it does blip back through. But we still keep holding this area. And it kind of gives you the confidence, maybe this can go again. There you are with it. That's a prime example. Like you flush lower quite fast, and now you've got some low volume areas, and you're trying to hold on to this now. So now you want to see where it pulls back to. In this case, I do think it goes quite far back in one of them. So just kind of come all the way back to 70s. I've got something out now, like one out. But you see this down here where someone's like done a load of volume on the lows. I'll kind of use that as a way to try and get back in something again, if I can. Yeah, and when my mouse disappears, there's another trade on a cable that I was managing as well that was coming off. But this was when the currencies really started to get sold that day. So yeah, so all I'm doing now, look, is sitting in one, kind of seeing if I can hold on to this. You've got this area to hold on to. You've not come back up there, but you've kind of come through the low volume. And then it's now the case of, okay, if it comes back down again, can I get in something again? Because you can see how quickly it'll flush 30 ticks, even if you're just taking 30 ticks. You know, you're trying to give yourself the opportunity to be in the trade. I think you'll see me do it on this one. So yeah, just again, marking up levels from the way down. You know how quickly they can get to these levels when it flushes. This is where I'll come in, put a 2-lot stop up below the low. And you know, you could get, slip down here a bit. But I've still got one in from above. And it's then just trying to add in, as I say, to get on this second move. So at the minute, we're down in this one, I think. In here. So we'll just bring this forward. So you can see again, as we come in through, in a sec, you'll see it flush down in a sec, and then we'll come back up. And this is where you see this absorption. And you'll see me get in and out of this one, I think, pretty quick when it doesn't go. One thing to note as well, this is coming right up to the US equity cash open. And at that point, you can get a little bit of volatility come in, it wick back. But it can also then help you move. If you see the equities start to get sold as well, like you're getting this general risk on, this is the day. I'll quickly try and move it. There's only one in now. But this is the day where the currencies are getting sold off low, the bonds were bid. Okay, there's me getting in the extra too. And you'll see, it goes a bit, and I think it comes back. If someone's starting to do some volume on the low, it's sitting at the low, but it's not flushed yet. There we go, it flushes a bit there. I get out of one. And then I'm out of two. Second, it's come back through and back to one. So you just make a little bit on it. You're not, you don't want to hold this now offside and ruin your whole thing. But yeah, you can see the bonds were near the highs this day. The currencies were coming off. So there was like, you kind of hold flows, and you'll see in a sec now. As this starts, so you'll see in a sec as the equities open, if you see them start to get sold as well, that's leaning on conviction of this has got a lot more in it. So here we go, this is cash open now. Obviously it's 2 times the speed, just remember. So you see I've gone straight back on the low with another 2. See at the minute it's just the open of the equities, but they're on the lows of the day. They're pushing down. If you keep seeing them sitting at the lows and pushing down a bit, no massive moves back to the highs, then you could think these general flows, when you get these days, the euros broke out, then you can add. There you go, look. So I'm in 2 more, so I'm back to 3. You can see that was near the 90s, I think. Around here, and it's pushed you on side straight away. Look, you're on side 20 ticks. And this is where, you can get something out again. You just made an extra 20, 30 ticks. You got 2 in, now you're going to try and hold this a little bit. maybe get more aggressive if you can. Look, there we go, through the lows again. And you see as the equities now look as well. So the equities are on the lows, the oil's pushing lower now. It just gave it another leg. So look again, you've got the equities on the lows. Just the correlations now all coming in. So even your stocks on the lows, S&P, Nasdaq on the lows, oil pushing lower, cable, euro on the lows, bonds near the highs, and you just start leaning on all of these kind of bits together to give you that, the conviction in the trade you're in, to help you hit proxy markets. You've got a feeling of what's going on about and around you. So you can see I've fully out of the oil now here. So, but this is then, so let me just explain because it's goes on for a bit. This is then this pig area of chop. So now look, we're in 103.42, so we're here. So I was out a bit early. It goes again, and we sit there and chop. And this is something I don't think I've got in the video that I traded. But if you sat through this, or you're in from higher up and you thought there's another leg, or if you just kept, once you'd seen this, everyone's caught here, people are caught here, and you just kept trying to have a nibble at a short, you would eventually get, I'll just make this smaller so you can try and get it all in one. You'd eventually get this huge move again, come back down. This another massive leg down through 100, 97s, 98s, and you get a nice delta reversal here on the lows. But yeah, this is just for me. So yeah, just to finish off, some key takeaways is like when oil's thin, and it has been since the Russia-Ukraine war, you can expect these like large overextended moves, and there's quite a lot of edge in, you get a pretty crappy high or a blocky high and you see something on the footprint, or you've got levels above to attack. If you see then like an iceberg just before the highs, putting a stop the other side of the iceberg, flicking you in, and then trying to play for the momentum through the highs and push yourself 20-30 ticks on side, and then you've got some room to play for the bigger move. And if you're wrong, you're out in 10 ticks, you're straight out. And that gives you a chance to keep your wrist high and try and capture some of these large overextended moves. And it's what's been working well for me this year so far, is like trading oil this way, trying to be really tight with the risk but aggressive through highs and lows for bigger plays, and then when I'm on side, then just managing and manipulating size through the move. When we get this move, it's about spotting it early and then being aggressive. There's some days where it's whipped down, whipped up, whipped down, and there's no real, for me, no real edge. I can't see anything in the footprint. We're in the middle of the range, we're in the middle of value or a big block. It's when you're getting these extreme areas, or big trend lines, big levels, like daily highs and lows at the bottom of big balances, and it opens and it goes, and you see that order flow come in and you see it on the footprint. So that's the time for me. There's no point on this move. You could maybe save yourself 10, 15 ticks, but if you're taking 5 points, is it worth the risk of not getting in? Is just be aggressive through the lows, and if you're wrong, get out. But don't sit there too passively and then miss the trade. And this was a volatile move, so it's about like having a plan to manage the risk, but while also staying in to try and maximise the profits. For myself, this means using the footprint and being nimble with the sizing. And that's where I said the sizing in at the lows. If it doesn't go, I'm out. If it goes and I go 30, 40 ticks, I'll get out of something. I'll hold then the other one from the extra and try and play it more. And it's like looking at this and going, okay, when we're down here, as long as we kind of hold this volume, we're not pushing back up, I'm not wrong. We've left some low volume on profile, so you can imagine as this is building, it's kind of and bit of volume, low volume, little bit of volume, and then you get that kind of big block. As long as we're holding these areas, these low volumes not coming straight back through. Right, I'm in again, I'm going to hold the move. You could even try and get short, on the tops of these, into these bits. And no, that was a good example. Into here with the level for the next leg. But as long as you're seeing these kind of blocks hold low volume in between, sticking with the move, using that to manage your risk, and being aggressive for me through the lows, and then yeah, footprint to manage the risk and know where you're wrong and where it could go and keep you in the trade as well is helped me. So yeah, that's it for me today.